Illegal immigration, a topic as contentious as it is complex, has shaped the United States for decades. But what if I told you that the origins of these undocumented immigrants reveal shocking, untold stories? From escaping political oppression to pursuing economic stability, millions are drawn to the U.S. in search of a better life. Have you ever wondered where these immigrants are coming from and why they leave their homelands? Today, we uncover the 13 countries contributing most to illegal immigration in the U.S., and trust me, the answers may surprise you. Stay tuned as we reveal the motivations, risks, and struggles behind these journeys. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you won't miss out on future insights. 1. Guatemala. The silent exodus. Guatemala's enduring struggles with violence, poverty, and natural disasters have turned it into one of the most prominent sources of undocumented immigration to the United States. As of 2022, approximately 675,000 Guatemalans were living in the U.S. without legal status. For many, leaving their homeland isn't just a choice, it's a necessity born out of extreme hardship and relentless danger. Rampant gang violence casts a shadow over daily life, with Guatemala consistently ranking among the countries with the highest homicide rates in the world. Gangs not only terrorize neighborhoods but also target young people for recruitment. Those who resist often face brutal retaliation, forcing families to flee their homes to ensure their safety. Economic despair fuels the migration crisis further, as over 60% of the population lives in poverty. Limited access to education and stable employment traps many in a cycle of hardship, where even basic needs like food and shelter are difficult to secure. The prospect of better opportunities abroad becomes a beacon of hope for families struggling to survive. Adding to this already grim reality, Guatemala is highly vulnerable to natural disasters. Hurricanes, earthquakes, and floods frequently devastate the country, destroying homes and livelihoods. Displaced families are often left with no option but to embark on the treacherous journey north. The path to the U.S. is fraught with danger. Migrants face extortion, robbery, sexual violence, and death at the hands of smugglers. Despite these immense risks, thousands undertake the perilous journey every year, clinging to the hope of building a safer and more stable future. Their resilience and determination in the face of such overwhelming adversity stand as a testament to the human spirit's enduring will to survive and thrive. 2. Mexico. The persistent struggle. Mexico has long been the largest source of undocumented immigrants in the United States. As of 2022, around 4 million unauthorized Mexican immigrants resided in the U.S., making up 37% of the total undocumented population. Despite a significant decline in numbers over the past decade, Mexico remains central to the discussion on illegal immigration. Economic challenges are a leading cause of this migration. Many Mexicans face poverty and low wages, particularly in rural areas where job opportunities are scarce. For these individuals, crossing the border offers a chance to provide a better life for their families. Even those with employment in Mexico often find that earnings are insufficient to meet basic needs, prompting them to seek higher wages abroad. The country's endemic violence further exacerbates the crisis. Drug cartels and organized crime dominate large regions, creating unsafe environments for families. For some, fleeing Mexico isn't just about seeking economic opportunities, it's about escaping life-threatening conditions in their hometowns. Family reunification also drives migration. Generations of Mexican families have built roots in the U.S., and many immigrants cross the border to join loved ones. This strong familial connection keeps Mexico closely tied to U.S. migration trends. However, the landscape is changing. Stricter U.S. border enforcement, improved economic conditions in parts of Mexico, and declining birth rates among the younger population have led to fewer migrants than in previous decades. Yet, challenges persist. Smuggling networks prey on the desperation of those trying to cross, often at great personal risk. Despite the dangers and obstacles, many Mexicans continue to pursue the promise of a better future in the U.S., illustrating the deep socio-economic divides that fuel migration. Mexico's migration story reflects both the ongoing struggles and the enduring hope of its people. 3. India. the rising wave India has become an increasingly significant source of undocumented immigrants in the U.S., with an estimated 725,000 residing in the country illegally as of 2022. This number represents a steady rise over recent years, highlighting a shift in global migration patterns. Unlike other countries, economic despair is not the primary factor driving Indian migration. Instead, the challenges often stem from navigating the complex and restrictive U.S. visa system. Many Indians seek student or work visas but face stringent requirements, lengthy processing times, and limited opportunities for approval. These hurdles often push individuals toward overstaying temporary visas or resorting to illegal methods to remain in the country. Economic ambition also fuels migration. While India has a growing middle class and a booming tech industry, the allure of better wages, career growth, and a higher standard of living in the U.S. remains strong. For many, the promise of achieving the American dream outweighs the risks of living undocumented. Demographically, most Indian immigrants attempting illegal entry are young, educated professionals in their 20s and 30s. They are driven by aspirations for a brighter future, whether in technology, healthcare, or other high-demand industries. However, the cost of entering the U.S. illegally is often exorbitant, with smuggling networks charging fees upwards of $50,000 or more. These networks have become increasingly sophisticated, creating perilous routes through multiple countries. Once in the U.S., undocumented Indians face a unique set of challenges. While many manage to secure low-profile jobs or blend into urban areas, they live with constant uncertainty, fearing deportation and struggling with limited access to legal protections. Despite these difficulties, the number of undocumented Indian immigrants continues to grow, reflecting the global appeal of opportunities in America. 4. Honduras. A cry for survival. Honduras, a nation burdened by systemic challenges, ranks among the top contributors to undocumented immigration in the United States. As of 2022, over 700,000 Hondurans were estimated to reside in the U.S. without legal status, driven by conditions that leave them with little choice but to seek refuge elsewhere. The endemic violence in Honduras is among the worst in the world. Organized crime, fueled by drug cartels and gangs like MS-13, infiltrates nearly every aspect of society. Extortion, kidnappings, and murders are grim realities for Hondurans, forcing families to flee for their safety. Many who leave are young people escaping forced gang recruitment or retaliation for refusing to comply with criminal demands. The economy offers little relief. Over 60% of the population lives in poverty, with unemployment and underemployment trapping families in a cycle of despair. Rural areas are especially vulnerable, with subsistence farmers grappling with dwindling crop yields due to climate change and lack of resources. Natural disasters compound these challenges. Hurricanes like Eta and Iota devastated entire communities in 2020, leaving thousands homeless and without livelihoods. With limited government support for rebuilding, many displaced residents join the long caravans heading north. The journey to the U.S. is grueling, involving dangerous crossings and exploitation by smugglers. Yet, the promise of a stable life for their children drives Hondurans to take these risks. Their resilience underscores the need for international cooperation to address the root causes of migration and provide meaningful solutions. 5. Colombia. A nation seeking refuge from conflict, Colombia has long been a source of migration to the United States, particularly during times of political violence and economic instability. As of 2022, an estimated 130,000 undocumented Colombians were residing in the U.S., reflecting a history of challenges that continue to drive migration. Decades of internal conflict involving guerrilla groups, paramilitaries, and drug cartels have displaced millions of Colombians. Many seek refuge abroad, fleeing the violence and threats that have permeated everyday life. While peace agreements have reduced some conflict, the scars of instability remain, pushing individuals to escape the lingering dangers. Economic hardship further compounds the issue. Despite Colombia's progress in reducing poverty over the years, disparities remain significant. Many Colombians, especially in rural areas, lack access to stable employment and sufficient wages, prompting them to seek opportunities abroad. Corruption and inefficiency in governance exacerbate these economic struggles, leaving citizens disillusioned with the prospects of progress at home. For many Colombians, the journey to the United States is arduous and fraught with risks. Smugglers charge exorbitant fees, and migrants often face extortion, violence, or even death along the way. Many undocumented Colombians enter the U.S. on temporary visas and overstay due to economic or family obligations, adding to their vulnerable status. Undocumented Colombians in the U.S. often live under the constant threat of deportation, working low-wage jobs with limited legal protections. Despite these challenges, they form strong communities, particularly in urban areas like Miami and New York City, where they rely on networks for support. Colombia's migration story reflects the ongoing struggle between hope for a better future and the harsh realities of displacement. The resilience of these individuals highlights the need for comprehensive solutions to address the root causes of migration. 6. Haiti. Escaping unrelenting hardship. Haiti, a nation burdened by decades of political instability, poverty, and natural disasters, is a significant contributor to the flow of undocumented immigrants to the United States. As of 2022, over 300,000 Haitians were estimated to reside in the U.S. without legal status, driven by a desperate need to escape unrelenting hardship at home. Haiti's political landscape has long been marked by corruption, ineffective governance, and social unrest. Assassinations, coups, and violent protests have disrupted everyday life, leaving the Haitian people in a constant state of uncertainty. These issues are compounded by inadequate public services, a failing justice system, and widespread distrust of government institutions. The economic situation in Haiti further fuels migration. With over half of the population living below the poverty line, access to education, healthcare, and stable employment is out of reach for many. Families struggle to meet basic needs, forcing individuals to seek opportunities abroad to provide for their loved ones. Natural disasters have devastated Haiti repeatedly, exacerbating its challenges. The 2010 earthquake left millions displaced and shattered the nation's infrastructure. Hurricanes and tropical storms have since worsened living conditions, destroying homes and livelihoods. Climate change continues to increase the frequency and intensity of these disasters, leaving Haitians with few options for recovery. The journey to the U.S. is fraught with peril. Many Haitians undertake dangerous sea voyages in overcrowded and unseaworthy vessels, risking their lives in search of refuge. Others travel through South and Central America, facing exploitation, extortion, and violence along the way. Once in the U.S., undocumented Haitians often struggle with limited access to employment, healthcare, and housing. Despite these challenges, Haitian immigrant communities remain resilient, forming strong support networks and contributing to American society while holding onto the hope of a brighter future for themselves and their families. 7. Bangladesh. Quiet struggles amidst overpopulation. Bangladesh, with its dense population and economic challenges, has emerged as a source of undocumented immigration to the United States. As of 2022, approximately 200,000 undocumented Bangladeshis were residing in the U.S., driven by economic aspirations and the hope for a better quality of life. Bangladesh faces immense challenges as one of the most densely populated countries in the world. Its rapidly growing population has outpaced the nation's resources and infrastructure, leading to widespread unemployment and underemployment. Many individuals, particularly from rural areas, struggle to find stable jobs, forcing them to look abroad for opportunities. The effects of climate change have added to the nation's woes. Frequent floods, rising sea levels, and cyclones regularly devastate agricultural lands and displace millions of people. These environmental challenges exacerbate poverty and leave many families in a cycle of instability. As livelihoods become increasingly unsustainable, migration becomes the only viable solution for survival. The education system, although improving, still leaves many behind, especially in poorer communities. With limited access to higher education and skill development, young Bangladeshis seek better prospects in countries like the U.S., where they can hope to secure stable employment and provide for their families back home. The journey to the U.S. is often long and perilous. Many Bangladeshis travel through South America, relying on smuggling networks to navigate dangerous terrain and corrupt border crossings. Others enter the U.S. on temporary visas but overstay due to the inability to secure legal residency or return home to unfavorable conditions. Once in the U.S., undocumented Bangladeshis face numerous challenges, including fear of deportation and exploitation in low-wage jobs. Despite these hurdles, they remain driven by their determination to improve their families' futures, often contributing significantly to industries such as technology, food service, and construction. 8. Dominican Republic. A story of perseverance. The Dominican Republic has long been a source of migration to the United States, with a history deeply intertwined with economic challenges, political instability, and aspirations for a better future. As of 2022, an estimated 164,000 undocumented immigrants from the Dominican Republic resided in the U.S., drawn by opportunities that seem unattainable in their homeland. Economic difficulties are a primary driver of migration. Despite being a popular tourist destination, the Dominican Republic struggles with high poverty rates and unemployment. Many Dominicans, particularly in rural areas, find it challenging to access stable jobs or earn a livable wage. The gap between economic potential and reality motivates thousands to seek opportunities abroad, especially in the U.S., where higher wages and a stronger job market offer hope. Political instability and corruption have historically fueled emigration. The Dominican Republic has faced periods of governmental mismanagement, social unrest, and inadequate public services, prompting many to leave in search of greater stability and security. These systemic issues often leave the population feeling trapped, with migration seen as the only viable path to improving their circumstances. Family reunification plays a significant role in Dominican migration patterns. Many undocumented immigrants have relatives already established in the U.S., particularly in cities like New York, Boston, and Miami. These family ties create a support system that eases the transition and encourages further migration. The journey to the U.S., whether through overstayed visas or illegal crossings, is often fraught with challenges. Many Dominicans initially arrive on tourist or student visas and remain beyond their permitted stay due to economic hardship or family obligations. Others rely on smuggling networks, facing financial exploitation and physical risks along the way. Despite the hardships of undocumented life in the U.S., Dominican immigrants demonstrate resilience and determination. Their contributions to American culture, economy, and communities are significant, even as they navigate the uncertainties of their legal status. 9. Brazil. A country grappling with economic hardship. Brazil has become a growing source of undocumented immigrants in the United States, with an estimated 200,000 Brazilians living illegally as of 2022. While Brazil is one of South America's largest economies, severe social inequality, political turmoil, and rising violence have driven thousands to seek better opportunities in the U.S. Economic disparities are a major factor fueling migration. Despite Brazil's economic potential, high inflation, unemployment, and stagnant wages have created significant challenges for its citizens. Many Brazilians, particularly those from lower-income backgrounds, struggle to provide for their families. For them, the U.S. offers hope, a chance for higher wages and a stable livelihood, even if it means risking undocumented status. Political instability has also played a significant role in driving migration. In recent years, Brazil has faced corruption scandals, widespread protests, and dissatisfaction with government policies. This political chaos has led many Brazilians to seek refuge in a country where governance feels more reliable, and opportunities seem more attainable. Social issues, including high crime rates and violence in urban areas, further compound the problem. Many Brazilians leave to escape the dangers of gang activity, drug trafficking, and domestic violence. For families with children, the desire to provide a safer environment often outweighs the risks associated with migration. The journey to the U.S. for Brazilians is often long and dangerous. Many enter the country on tourist or student visas and overstay their permitted duration. Others rely on smuggling networks, facing exorbitant fees and the threat of exploitation along the way. Once in the U.S., undocumented Brazilians face challenges such as fear of deportation, limited access to healthcare and education, and vulnerability to exploitation in low-wage jobs. However, their resilience and strong sense of community enable them to carve out lives in cities like Miami, Boston, and Los Angeles, where vibrant Brazilian communities provide support. Despite the difficulties, the Brazilian immigrant story is one of hope and determination, as individuals seek to escape hardship and build better futures for themselves and their families. 10. The Philippines. A legacy of migration and determination. The Philippines has long been a source of migration to the United States, with ties dating back to the early 20th century. As of 2022, approximately 310,000 undocumented Filipinos were living in the U.S., often referred to as TNT, meaning Tago ng Tago, or always hiding, in Filipino. Economic challenges, familial aspirations, and limited opportunities at home fueled this persistent migration. For many Filipinos, economic opportunities in the U.S. serve as a beacon of hope. The Philippines struggles with high unemployment and underemployment, particularly in rural areas. Even college graduates often face limited career prospects, pushing many to pursue jobs overseas where wages are significantly higher. The dream of providing for their families back home is a powerful motivator. Family reunification is another driving factor. With millions of Filipinos already living in the U.S. legally, undocumented migration often follows as family members seek to join loved ones. Strong cultural emphasis on close-knit family bonds propels many to navigate the complexities of migration. The journey to the U.S. is rarely straightforward. Many Filipinos arrive on temporary visas, such as tourist or work visas, but find themselves overstaying due to financial challenges or family obligations. Others resort to smuggling networks, which charge steep fees and expose migrants to risks, including exploitation and unsafe travel conditions. Once in the U.S., undocumented Filipinos face significant challenges. Fear of deportation looms large, forcing many to live in the shadows. Without legal status, they often lack access to healthcare, education, and other essential services. Employment opportunities are limited to low-paying jobs, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation. Despite these hardships, the Filipino immigrant community is marked by resilience. Concentrated in states like California, Texas, and Hawaii, Filipinos form strong support networks, contributing to vibrant communities. Their determination to overcome adversity and provide for their families is a testament to the enduring Filipino spirit. The story of Filipino migration is one of sacrifice and hope, as individuals strive to overcome challenges and achieve a better life for themselves and future generations. 11. El Salvador. A nation in crisis. El Salvador is a significant source of undocumented immigrants in the United States, with approximately 750,000 Salvadorans residing in the country as of 2022. The mass migration is driven by a deadly combination of gang violence, economic instability, and natural disasters, making life in El Salvador precarious for millions. Violence is one of the most pressing factors pushing Salvadorans to flee. The country has one of the highest homicide rates in the world, fueled by the notorious gang wars between MS-13 and Barrio 18. Many young people face constant threats of recruitment or retaliation, leaving them no choice but to escape for their safety. For countless families, gang violence isn't just a risk, it's an immediate, life-threatening reality. Economically, El Salvador is a nation in distress. High unemployment rates and poverty have gripped the country for years, leaving limited opportunities for citizens to build a stable future. Many Salvadorans leave in search of better-paying jobs to support their families back home, often enduring dangerous journeys northward. Adding to the turmoil are frequent natural disasters. Earthquakes, hurricanes, and landslides devastate communities, destroy homes, and push families into extreme poverty. These recurring calamities leave many Salvadorans displaced and desperate for new beginnings. For Salvadorans who make it to the U.S., the challenges don't end. Many rely on programs like Temporary Protected Status, TPS, to avoid deportation, but shifting immigration policies create uncertainty. Despite the hardships, Salvadorans contribute to the U.S. economy, working in industries like construction and agriculture, while sending billions in remittances back home each year. 12. Venezuela. A growing crisis. Venezuela's political and economic collapse has spurred a massive wave of migration, with around 270,000 Venezuelans living undocumented in the U.S. as of 2022. These migrants flee a nation plagued by hyperinflation, extreme poverty, and a crumbling healthcare system, all of which have created one of the worst humanitarian crises in the Americas. Political instability is at the heart of Venezuela's exodus. Since 2013, the government's authoritarian rule has sparked widespread protests, violent crackdowns, and human rights abuses. Many Venezuelans who oppose the regime face persecution, imprisonment, or worse, leaving them no choice but to seek asylum abroad. The economic collapse in Venezuela has been devastating. Hyperinflation has rendered the national currency nearly worthless, making basic necessities like food and medicine unattainable for most citizens. Entire families flee in search of stability and survival, often risking everything to reach the U.S. Despite being highly educated, many Venezuelan migrants struggle to find employment due to their undocumented status. Young professionals and skilled workers, once the backbone of Venezuela's economy, now find themselves working in low-wage jobs to make ends meet. The journey to the U.S. is grueling. Many Venezuelans traverse Colombia, Central America, and Mexico, facing threats like robbery, extortion, and violence along the way. Some seek asylum or temporary protected status, TPS, once they arrive, but many remain undocumented, vulnerable to deportation. 13. China. A growing source of undocumented immigrants. China has become a notable source of undocumented immigration to the United States, with an estimated 400,000 Chinese immigrants residing illegally as of recent years. While China's rapid economic growth has created opportunities for some, the disparity between rural and urban areas continues to push many to seek better lives abroad. Political repression is a key driver of Chinese migration. Individuals who challenge the government or advocate for democratic reforms often face severe consequences, including imprisonment. Many flee to the U.S. to escape persecution and find freedom. Despite being the world's second-largest economy, China's rural regions lag significantly behind its urban centers. Many Chinese nationals enter the U.S. on student visas but overstay after graduation due to difficulties finding opportunities back home. Others seek to send their children to U.S. schools for a chance at a better future. The journey to the U.S. often involves smuggling networks that charge exorbitant fees and expose migrants to significant risks. Once in the U.S., undocumented Chinese immigrants tend to cluster in urban areas like New York City and Los Angeles, where established Chinese communities offer support. However, life in the U.S. is far from easy for undocumented Chinese immigrants. They face challenges such as fear of deportation, limited access to healthcare, and exploitation in low-wage jobs. Despite these hardships, many persevere, contributing to local economies and enriching the cultural diversity of the United States. These 13 countries illustrate the harsh realities behind migration. Understanding their stories is key to crafting policies that balance security with humanity. Subscribe and share your thoughts below. What solutions do you think could address this challenge?